Tick, tick, tock. Tick, tick, tock. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. Okay. The future of TikTok. It's a future uncertain. So there's a couple of stuff that's going on. In case many of you weren't aware of it, but yesterday, according to the Biden-Harris administration, it signals it won't enforce the TikTok ban. However, this happened, and I think it's important that we do address it because apparently the Supreme Court of these United States will enforce it.
The Supreme Court upholds the law that was passed by Congress in a bipartisan manner, signed into law by Joe Biden last April, to find a new buyer within 270 days. The Supreme Court has now ruled that that law stands. What happens to the app, however, is a wide open question.
And this was a pretty momentous discussion. And in fact, we just heard from President-elect Trump through Truth Social that he spoke to President Xi this morning, of course, the president of China, which owns the TikTok app. And this did come up. We don't know what was discussed, but it did come up.
The Supreme Court upholds the law that was passed.
Yep. So there you go. There you go indeed. So I want to pull this up here as well. Another tweet. Breaking, the U.S. Supreme Court approves the government's ban on TikTok, requiring it to be sold or banned by this Sunday. The U.S. government does not support free speech. We live on a tyrannical capitalist oligarchy that uses fear, division, and propaganda to control its people. And of course, it's very interesting that this was said yesterday by Biden himself or somebody representing Biden. Did Biden say this? Press X to doubt.
In 2020, in his first administration, he wanted to ban TikTok. Now he wants to save it. He has said it helped him win the election. He has met with one of TikTok's biggest investors. And so what we are told from sources familiar with the discussions is that the Trump team has looked into possible ways, including an executive order, to keep.
And Mastermind brings this up. So now they're worried about antitrust. Yes, they are. Absolutely.
TikTok available. But here's the issue, Kana. This law takes effect January 19th. That is a day before Trump goes into office. We are told from the White House that ultimately the implementation of the law will come down to the Trump administration. But this was a law that passed through both chambers of Congress with bipartisan support, and it was signed by the president. It is being argued in front of the Supreme Court by the Justice Department because of those national security concerns. So what exactly?
Now, again, this video came out yesterday. As it stands right now, the Supreme Court of the United States will and shall enforce it. So Sunday, if you're used to your TikToks, it's going to be wrapping it up very soon.
An executive order would look like that could basically undermine the law that's already in effect. We don't really know what Trump could do there. The one suggestion is that Trump could tell his Justice Department not to enforce the law. So basically not take action against app stores like Apple or Google's or internet service providers like Oracle. Basically say, look, you don't have to comply with this law. We're not going to enforce it against you. But very unclear if some of the general counsels at those companies are going to think of that as enough reassurance and not go ahead and enforce this law, and that the ban, essentially wouldn't take effect then. In 2020.
So that's what's taking place. However, there are many people who are coming forward trying to save TikTok. Case in point, let's start off with Mr. Donald Trump. Soon to be president in 3 days. He'll be sworn in on January 20th. Just in, Trump says he spoke with President Xi Jinping, vowing to do everything possible to make the world more peaceful and safe. God, I want that to be true. Look, I have enough headaches as it is. Again, look, I don't want to see TikTok gone, okay? But if this is going to happen, there are people potentially interested in buying it. I know, and listen, yes, Elon Musk has also mentioned his name, but then again, hey, Elon, you got enough trouble as it is. I just spoke with Chairman Xi Jinping of China. The call was very good, one for both China and the USA. It is my expectation that we will solve many problems together and starting immediately. We discussed balancing trade, fentanyl. Oh, you're part of that fentanyl gang, huh? All right. TikTok and many other subjects. President Xi and I will do everything possible to make the world more peaceful and safe. Well, goodness gracious, Cretaceous, because here's an article from RT, just to trigger the libs. President-elect Donald Trump is considering issuing an executive order to delay the enforcement of a U.S. law that mandates the sale or shutdown of TikTok, potentially granting the popular social media platform a temporary reprieve, according to the Washington Post. The legislation signed by President Joe Biden last year requires that ByteDance, TikTok's Chinese parent company, that invests from its U.S. operations by January 19th, 2025, Failure to comply will result in TikTok being removed from U.S. app stores and losing access to essential infrastructure, effectively ending its operations in the country. Well, that's where Red Note comes in, government. I mean, you're going to do one thing to the people will do something altogether. Trump has reportedly been mulling ways to save the day, including potentially issuing an executive order that would extend the compliance deadline by 60 to 90 days, allowing further negotiations, the Washington Post reported on Wednesday, citing two people similar to the matter. So, look, let's be clear here. Trump did capitalize on TikTok during the early days of his campaign, and he used it in mass. But now, the thing is, if this executive order for Trump were to go through, because as the Supreme Court has pushed it, this calls into Trump whether or not he's going to truly be sincere and follow through with supporting it. And there are people interested in buying TikTok, most notably one of the most influential people on YouTube, somebody who's no stranger to scandals in his own right, give or take, however which way you want to think about it. Mr. Beast has also thrown his hat in the ring.
I just got out of a meeting with a bunch of billionaires. TikTok, we mean business. This is my lawyer right here. We have an offer ready for you. We want to buy the platform. America deserves TikTok. Give me a seat at the table. Let me save this platform, TikTok.
Okay. Maybe that's all for clicks and views, but top YouTuber offers to buy TikTok. So, YouTube star Jimmy Donaldson, better known as Mr. Beast, has drawn widespread attention with his offer to purchase TikTok to prevent its potential ban in the United States. The 2024 Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act, that's a stupid name. God, I hope none of our taxpayer money went to that. Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act? That is beyond dumb. Who are these people? Yes, I stole that from INN, but seriously, and hold on. You know what? If we're going to do this right, who are these people?
Who are these people?
Don't know. TikTok's Chinese-based owner TikTok to divest its U.S. operations by January 19th, 2025, or face the outright ban in the country. Okay, fine. I'll buy TikTok so it doesn't get banned, Mr. Beast wrote in a post on X on Tuesday. The remark by YouTube's top creator, who boasts over 340 million subscribers, whoa, that's a lot, has generated significant online discussion with both fans and fellow influencers weighing in on the feasibility of such an ambitious move. Unironically, I've had so many billionaires reach out to me since I tweeted this. Let's see if we could pull this off, the YouTuber added in a follow-up post. Many users pointed out the immense financial and regulatory challenges that would accompany such a deal. TikTok faces a potential nationwide ban just one day before the inauguration of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump, unless the Supreme Court intervenes, which, again, this article came out yesterday. And as we have pointed out, the Supreme Court will choose to follow through with its enforcement or banning, which I would then have to say to my friends and colleagues at Kick, cool, make it happen, because this relates to beat you to it, Mr. Beast. Now, whether or not this is a true purchase of intent, we will see what happens. Again, we will see. But Kick also joining in with the fun, trying to purchase TikTok. And again, Kick is a very popular online streaming platform, but there is now a war for the free speech. But as Mastermind and many of you in my live stream audience are pointing out, why is it now that the government's worried about a monopoly? Why is it now that the government's worried about a corporation maybe extending its influence too much? It's because they don't have control over it. It's not part of Silicon Valley. It's not associated with the Democrat or Republican Party. It's not associated with anything with Wall Street or the big banks or corporations. It's a challenger, a new player in the field, and Americans went to it. And in turn, many Americans also made success for themselves, using it in another form in which they could get their content out there, build a life for themselves. And yes, the vast majority just using it for entertainment. But this should show all of you the extent and power in which the government wants to control a narrative and keep all of you in the dark, silent, suppressed, and not questioning anything, just being silent and obeying the orders. Banning of TikTok isn't going to solve anything. You got people flocking the Red Note. And if not the Red Note, they'll flock somewhere else. You're trying to control people on how they think. And unfortunately, any person that thinks that they could win this out, you're going to lose terribly. You can't control the indomitable will of mankind. Yes, people will comply here and there, but eventually, the more you squeeze, the more people are going to break away. The more people will punch back. I don't want to see TikTok banned. Hell, I think this entire thing going after TikTok, just like all the legal trouble facing off against Donald Trump, was one big waste of time, as it is, as it should be. This is how a government is going to lose its people, because more people are going to be wondering across the political spectrum, why is it you're so invested in trying to silence our speech, or either that remove this platform unless there's things here you don't want us to talk about? And before anyone who says, well, they don't talk about Tiananmen Square, there are other search engines. There are other social media platforms. Or hell, go visit your public library. Maybe people need to read more books now. But banning of TikTok, this is the big brain tactic. It will backfire. You will not succeed. You will not win, because people will go somewhere else. And if corporate media and the politicians haven't figured it out that, well, then we always use our Coca-Cola classic Logan Roy quote. To the politicians and those that want to silence free speech, I love you, but you are not serious people.